enjoying it.
We should have had this discussion on camera.
Well, we can, but we have to decide if we want to talk about video games too.
Yeah, I need to also change our title
Title.
because it's
So
calling
what?
it's calling it "Oi, good on you, mate" right now.
Terrible.
How do I change the title of our stream? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Oh no, it's always going to be called "Oi, good on you, mate." Can you imagine?
That's the name of our show.
We didn't know how to
Christian.
change the title of it. Yeah, we didn't know how to change the title of it. So that's what it is now.
Monster of the week, and maybe Bugatti.
Do you have your dice?
I do.
Make sure I have them.
Combat mechanics.
There were three things so your game yesterday, combat mechanics. There's something else. Do you have that down? What it was?
The things that we said were the combat mechanics, talking about like Wagadu and a character, and then we were potentially going to talk about
Oh God.
the stream that I did yesterday.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Wagadu was the thing.
That was it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping track of that.
Roll.
Where are the dice? Derp, derp, derp. This goes to show you how meaningful physical elements of role playing are to me. Not meaningful.
It's annoying that I have to put Dungeons and Dragons as the category, and not. Okay, well let's just.
Oh,
Okay, there we go. We are live.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
I should probably.
Oh, well. Hello. I'm gonna I'm gonna post on Twitter that we're live.
Nice. I don't have my fancy lights today. I don't think it really makes a big difference. I'll try to do this halo light, actually.
Hashtag TTRPG.
Oh, there's like people watching us right now. Is that just us?
No, there aren't.
Hi, everyone.
It's probably just us.
There's 3
Dragons.
people.
Hashtag.
Wow, that's really bright. We want this one.
Okay. Oh,
There we go.
your video is gone.
Okay, is it?
Oh, we're live. Okay, we're live.
I'm here.
Oh, now. How interesting. You're showing up on the Twitch stream. Oh, no, you're gone. Your video's gone.
Okay.
Oh, now it's back.
I'm back.
But
All right.
in Discord, it's gone.
I see it in Discord and on the OBS.
Weird.
It's strange, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
Well, if you need to... Hey, yeah, hey.
Yo! It's Christian and Emilio time. What's up, everybody? Hey, if yeah, we're gonna do our thing. So this is Let's Talk Characters. Still, that's the name we're working with for now.
Oi, good on you, mate.
We're gonna move away from "Oi, good on you, mate" for today.
It's Let's Talk Characters. Look, I have my chocolate milk. I'm ready.
Yeah, we're so not ready. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Well, welcome back to our show. So today, Christian and I are going to talk about a few different things. We got a couple different topics that we want to get to. We don't know if we'll get to all of it, but we will definitely get into some stuff. And for anybody who's new to this is our weekly show where we talk about role-playing games and stuff that we're working on. And it's a little bit of DM therapy as well as kind of coming up with some new ideas or whatever's kind of interesting to us that week. And if you haven't,
Also, just
oh, go ahead.
geek stuff, just straight up stuff.
Yeah, yeah. If you haven't seen our YouTube show, you want to check out. The URL is just down there in the just down here on the overlay bit.ly/sexual characters, and that's where we have our show where it's a little more edited and scripted, and we roll random characters every couple of weeks or so, with often with guests from interesting places.
Yes, interesting places.
So, welcome, and Christian, let's talk
Hey,
characters. Mm, 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 mm,
how
mm,
are we
mm,
gonna
mm,
do a
mm,
thing?
mm, 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 mm,
Are we
mm.
doing? Are we doing this? Is this the thing that we
It's
do for
it's
this?
it's it's always the thing. Your audio is a little choppy.
Oh no, it is.
Yeah, just a little cutting in and out for me.
Yeah, I mean, we're having all sorts of technical. I mean, I still can't see you at all. Let me just refresh Discord here. Hold on.
Okay, he's gone. He's back. He's gone.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, it's Christian.
I mean, you're back for me now. I don't know if my audio is improved at all.
It's okay.
Uh, Hold on one second. I'm just gonna see if that's what's happening on the Twitch stream too. And I'm just gonna see if that's what's happening on the Twitch stream too. And I'm just gonna see if that's what's happening on the Twitch. We're in a loop.
Mute that.
Okay. It seems to be fine.
It seems
on
okay
Twitch
now.
stream. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So hey, what's up? What do we? We're gonna talk about some stuff.
Yeah, we got
Tonight,
a
aren't
couple
we?
things on our agenda. So last week we talked about some combat mechanics and some changes that we'd like to think about, and I think we're gonna maybe play around with some of that today and we'll actually roll some dice. We've
Yeah.
I've been in I streamed a game last night that, speaking of technical difficulties, just basically got shut down midway because everyone's internet died and all kinds of horrible things happened. I had to go
Oh, it
buy
wasn't you.
I had to buy a new router today. Matt had to like his router died. I don't know if he had to replace it or if he just had to troubleshoot, but it died right when we finished the
Jeez.
stream. Yeah, Dave and Wendy's computer. Anyway, so a bunch of crazy stuff happened, and but the game was really fun and interesting, and I'd like to talk a little bit about what it's like. And then if we've got some time, there is a very interesting new setting
Starter. Yeah.
called Wagadu. You want to talk about that a little, Christian?
Oh no, we shouldn't talk. I would have said don't even mention it, just in case we don't get to it.
Yeah. Well, it's in the description, but
Oh, there's a description. Oh,
yeah, it's fine. We don't. If we get to it, we get to it. It's a cool thing. Check it out if you haven't already. If we don't get to it today, we'll definitely talk about it in a future episode, and likely do a one shot with it of some at some point. But we'll see.
Ooh.
So yeah, let's talk about combat stuff. Have you had any? Do you want to give us
Okay.
a recap of the
Yeah,
combat stuff that we were talking about?
yeah. So last week we were talking about this idea of trying to, facilitate more creative combat in role-playing games. And so, the thing that kind of irks me is the idea of the attack roll and how that doesn't feel sort of like it facilitates any kind of creativity at all. And often what you see people falling into when they're playing a game that has the attack roll is like, oh, I roll 11, that hits, I roll an 8 damage, that sort of thing. Like there's no, you can add the sort of creative, like, oh, what does that look like? And all that sort of stuff. And that's what a good DM is going to do. But it's not like, it doesn't just, that's not what's incentivized, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thought was, what if you got rid of the attack roll and instead just use the typical skills in order to do that? So if we take D&D 5e, for example, you've got things like, acrobatics and sleight of hand and medicine and history and all these sorts of things. And it's like, okay, if you wanted to remove the attack roll and instead use those for your attacks, how might you do that? What might that look like? One of the things that I kind of like the idea, or I'm playing around with the idea of, is like, okay, so if you're having attack rolls, like they sort of increase in bonuses more quickly than your skills. And so, can you stack the skills in a way that will sort of allow you to, mirror that attack bonus and
Mm-hmm.
attack roll bonus, and also like further sort of incentivize creativity? Does that sound like? Does that make sense as a recap?
Yeah, that sounds like what we talked about. Yeah, I think there's different ways to kind of think about it and tackle the question of combat.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it would be fun to just kind of try out some of the stuff that we've been thinking about and experiment with it a little bit.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna open up Roll20 and just like pick a character, and maybe you should pick one of our LRC characters as well.
We'll do that.
And um, and I don't know where the heck my dice went, so I'm gonna be rolling electronically. I'd rather not though. Man, where are they? Nope, I'm gonna be rolling electronically.
Boo. Well, I didn't. I didn't set that up in the overlay, Christian.
I know. I'll just tell you what they are.
I have to.
Oh, I'm in Rocket. I gotta get out of Rocket.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into the Roll20 in a second. Yeah, are we gonna fight each other? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you gonna be the dungeon master? Let's do that. Let's just pick you to be.
No. We're both just gonna fight each. We're both just gonna be two characters fighting each other.
But I think someone needs to arbitrate the, like, whether you get bonuses or whether your, description is good enough to warrant whatever. Like,
Oh.
it's sort of.
We're just gonna. We will be each other's referee.
Okay. But I'm very
Because
competitive.
I don't think. I mean, like, what are you gonna try to win this
I'm
thing?
gonna try to
Like,
win.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
No, there's nothing to win here.
Your description was poor, and you don't get to stack your bonuses.
We're just testing out as an idea.
There's a lot on the line here. I'm picking my strongest character.
Okay. I'm gonna be on Davo.
Oh, nice. I think I'm gonna be Glint.
Oh, Glint. I love Glint.
I love Glint too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of have a feeling that this is gonna go very poorly. In that, like, I don't know if I'm this creative, so I think that's the challenge. It's like, how are you going to make this work? You're gonna have to be thoughtful.
Yeah, and like, can you do combat in an efficient way if you're adding more talking? Because combat already feels sort of sluggish, and you have to kind of. It just takes forever.
I kind of feel like if it were more interesting, it wouldn't matter so much if you do more talking to it. I also think, in a system where you're doing something like this, there is the potential that you would have a different kind of like way of conceptualizing hit points, or at least like different, like hit points would be lower basically in general, in order to sort of make up for the amount of time it might take to attack somebody or something. I don't know, but that's so arbitrary anyway. So maybe it doesn't matter.
Well, I think there's sort of. Actually, I thought about this a little yesterday, and I talked with the group that I was playing the Monster of the Week game with a bit about it. I think I talked to them about it. I talked to somebody about it, and I spent a lot of time talking about role. It could.
It was me.
It could have been you. Yeah, exactly. But what it sounded like is that there are potentially sort of two ways to think about this. Uh, One is to make combat sort of feel more realistic, which is like really, grimy and you're exhausted and you're not able to do, as many moves as you might in a regular D&D game because it takes its
Yeah.
toll on you physically. The other way to think about it might be to go the other direction and say like you can do crazy super moves that like anime style, like run past a guy with your sword and like chop him in half. But you got
Hmm.
to you got to give that description and you got to roll it, and but if you pull it off, you just end a dude with a move, and like
Interesting.
that way you get the cool combat stuff, but you also don't have to kind of go through it slowly.
Yeah, I think that first off, I don't like the more grueling, like you know, I don't like the more realistic one.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be interesting to think about the second one that you were talking about, because there are like the more realistic like versions of role playing games, and also there's like isn't there like some people have made like hard mode type stuff for D&D 5e
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff like that,
totally.
and it usually doesn't appeal because I know that I would just die very quickly.
Why you got to min max better, Christian? Stop role playing so much.
Oh
N- n-
no.
no.
Are you in? Are you ready?
I'm in. I got Glint pulled up here. I don't have I don't he doesn't oh he does have weapons. Okay, yeah. I've got so level 1. Hey, let me tell you about Glint Braidbeard, everybody. If you haven't seen our episode about Glint Braidbeard, it's one of my favorite episodes, and we rolled a paladin who had a criminal background, a dwarf paladin who had a criminal background. He had dwarf ancestry, but he grew up in tiefling culture. Really fun story. I recommend checking out that episode. Um, and he's got a big axe.
Is that what you got for him?
That's my conclusion.
You can really tell how interesting a character he is from that description.
Yeah. Well, I kind of don't want to give it away.
Oh, you don't want to give it away? Okay,
I,
all right. Then
I
I won't. Then I will do the same thing you did.
I'm teasing.
Uh, okay. Ooh, oh, what a tease.
Such a
Davo Lakaman is an orc who uh, is a bard
yeah.
who uh, finds her new home among a bunch of other bards, a multicultural group of bards. And is that sort of, does she leave that, or is she just part of that?
She
Yeah,
was.
yeah. She like joins this group of multicultural, like a multicultural troop or something, right? And then
Well, she wasn't she
some.
was she in the place that didn't allow like music, and so she left.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She starts in this really sort of like, repressive and not fun place. Anyway,
Don't give it away.
I'm not going to give it away.
It's pretty much the story
But she's
there.
great.
Yeah, Andava's
Um,
great.
and she's ready to fight Emilio.
She's gonna have a hard time
Okay. She's
because
going to be fighting with her quarterstaff.
Glint is known for his tough, rough and tumble ways.
Well, he's a tough guy. What's his AC?
18.
Oh, come on. Okay. All right. Well, Ondavo's is 13.
Why is his so high? He's wearing crazy armor or something.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he's a paladin, so he's probably got like
Oh, he's wearing
plate
chainmail.
mail or
Yeah, he's got chain.
chain mail. Yeah. Whereas Ondavo has, has leather armor and -1 to Constitution.
Yeah, it'll be well. Maybe AC isn't as important.
Well, I think let's just see what happens. And so he's going to be fighting with an axe.
Yeah, I've got a great axe and a great club, but I'll use the axe.
Okay, all right. So she's got a quarterstaff, which she's going to use. How did these two cross paths here,
Ooh,
Emilio?
yes, good question. Well, so Glint had to leave without giving too much away. Glint had to leave um, the city where he lived. He was actually kind of run out of town after someone he loved. Something bad happened to someone he loved, and so I
Yeah.
think he probably kind of, made his way just wandering a bit aimlessly after that event, not sure what to do with himself. He had heard the whisper of a god, which had kind of made him move towards the paladin class. But what first level paladin, they haven't declared an oath. They don't really know what they're up to. So I think at this point he's just kind of trying to find his way, and maybe he finds his way to Undavo's village. Um,
Mm,
and
okay.
even though Glint is technically a good guy, a good, chaotic good aligned paladin. He's pretty rough around
Mm-hmm.
the edges, and I could see him in a new
Yeah.
place, just sort of people not getting along with him not really wanting to like follow social norms, and so maybe there that leads to a confrontation. Maybe he has a few too many
Okay.
drinks. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe
Oh, okay.
the
All right.
band. Maybe Ondavo's band is playing, and Glint's like not applauding and not getting into it, and like someone's like, "Hey man, what's your problem?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to have a drink here," and then one thing leads to another.
Okay. I like that. So he goes to a tavern, and Andavo's troupe is playing there, and let's say after they've played, Andavo he's outside, like what do smoking pipe or something like that,
Yeah.
and Andavo comes out and she says, "Hey, friend, I noticed that you didn't seem to be enjoying the show there," and he's like, How about you and I role
Let's
play
do it.
this?
Let's do it.
Okay, okay, all right. So I'm Andavo, and I come out and I say, "Hey, friend, I noticed that you didn't seem to be enjoying the show in there."
Scottish accent.
Oh no. Okay, fine.
Um, I don't want to give him a Scottish accent. No, he's just gonna be me.
Oh, he's a tough guy. He doesn't have to be.
Um, no, no, I wasn't enjoying the show. I didn't come here for a show. Just
Uh,
looking for a place to have a bite to eat.
I mean, what did you come here for? You might have noticed we are pouring our heart and souls out there, and this is a pretty, you know, this is a friendly community, and you don't look too friendly to me.
I'm not. Is that a problem?
And I take out my quarterstaff and I kind of and I place it down on the ground and I say, "You tell me if it's a problem."
I put my hand to my belt, and I put just loosen my axe a little bit, but I don't move
Okay.
to draw it. And I say, I'm not looking for trouble, but if you are, you found it.
I kind of crack my neck and I say, "Let's have some fun."
It's not going to be fun for you.
Okay, and then I'm gonna come at you. All right, let me think about this. So if I'm using these different roles, okay. So I'm gonna come at you, and the way I'm doing it is this crazy sort of like spinning, like whirling. I'm like doing maybe even a like kick, but it's not an attack kick. It's just like a performative kick. Okay, so I'm just coming around, just being like really trying to, you know, to ham it up with this thing.
Okay.
And I'm as I'm doing it, I'm even sort of like I'm smiling and winking at you as I'm about to come down with the quarterstaff at your head. And so I'd like to roll a performance check
I
for that.
I was gonna say make a performance check. Although the winking, I don't know. Is that like? I just do performance.
I'm just gonna do performance. I'm hamming it up. That's what that is.
Got you.
Okay, my performance. Oh, that's a 24.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah, so I'm gonna.
so what does that
So let's
mean?
see. I'm just gonna hit you for damage. So I'm gonna now hit you for damage with the quarterstaff and hit you for 4.
Okay.
Because my 24 beats your 18 AC, and that means that the attack landed. That's the idea.
Right. It just didn't feel like the. Well, I won't troubleshoot it yet. Okay. We'll let me
Okay, yeah, yeah.
just take a note and then
So I
we'll.
say, oh, I think we are having fun as I smack you in the head. And then as I do that, there's a kind of flourish where I do one of those things with my quarterstaff where I go, and then I like put it behind my back like this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and then I bow.
So I try really hard to not show any pain, discomfort, anything when the staff hits me, and I just try to stand there
Okay.
solidly, or maybe just sort of like sort of look annoyed, um, and then as you step back and put your staff behind you,
Yeah.
I I fold my arms and I show my big rippling dwarven muscles
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and I say, and I step right into your face, and I say that
Oh.
was your last mistake, and then that's so I don't know,
Intimidation check.
right? So there's not a physical attack here because I was gonna say like do I headbutt you anyway? So I'll do an intimidation check,
No,
which
it's like what is the like flavor of your sort of like move, and that's why I think it's an intimidation check.
yeah,
Did you do it?
I pressed it in roll
It's not
20.
showing.
I know it's not showing for me either. I heard the sound.
Yeah, I heard the sound too. I heard though.
Give it a. I'm just gonna roll a real die while we wait. It's
Die. What's terrible?
23.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Yep. That hits.
And yeah, I think as I step forward into your face, maybe I just smack you quickly with my forehead in the nose.
Oh, okay. So that's a D4, whatever your.
I guess, yeah. I guess we'd have to figure out how to. So I guess
If it's a what do they call it? An unarmed attack. That's
yeah,
a D4, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Plus strength, which I actually
Okay.
don't have high strength.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that's 2 damage.
Okay. And so I kind of step back and I wipe some blood off of my face and I say, I think that we're having a jolly old time here. And let's see. I shouldn't have picked a bard. They're too clever for me. I then say, okay, listen, I think we've gotten off to the wrong foot here, and I just extend my hand out and I say, come on, put her there. I think that maybe you might fit in here after all. And then I'm gonna roll a deception check.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh no!
that's no good. So yeah,
And I reach my hand out.
I don't take your hand. Um, let's introduce something else here.
Oh,
because I'm
okay.
curious how this would work. So,
I think you should, but you should bat my hand away or something. No.
well, what I was thinking is, as you extend your hand, the other,
Yeah.
like another member of your band, comes out, uh,
Oh.
and so I'm now 2-on-1. Um, and so seeing your hand out and like reading that you're trying to trick me, um,
Uh huh.
I want to like step like to the side slightly, just subtly, just take a step so that I'm
Okay.
angling myself so that you are between your other bandmate.
So you're trying.
I, w-
Oh. Okay.
I
No.
want a
Okay.
line. Um,
Got it.
and
Okay.
and as I do that, I smack your hand away. Um,
Oh.
and
I
then
sort of laugh as you.
and actually I want to just hit you here. Like I don't want to use the skill. Um, but okay, no, yes, okay. So then, as I step aside, I plant one foot
Ah.
behind me, and I just lower a
Uh
shoulder
huh.
and charge into you, trying to knock you back into the other performer. And so I think
Okay.
I think
So I think that's
like an athletics
an
check.
athletics check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Give me an athletics check. Yeah. Uh.
Why is it not coming up?
Jeez.
That's so weird. I
Are
can.
you? Are you like hidden or something like that? Like, what's going on?
Is it because we're both logged in as the same person? I'm gonna just roll it. It's
That
fine.
doesn't seem like. Okay.
Oh, so this was bad. So that was a 4.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that definitely. So you okay. So what does that look like? That you or is that incumbent upon me to say what that looks like that you blew it, or is it you,
Well,
or is
this
it
is this is the challenge with
whoever?
not having like an official narrator.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I
All
guess
right,
it's
then I'll take it. I'll take it.
yeah.
So yeah. So you attempt to kind of sidestep and then just shoulder me. But I just I step aside and. Oh, so what's interesting here is that I could potentially then try to like
Counterattack.
have my reaction be my attack,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I step aside and notice that you're trying to come forward, and so I go ahead and I just kind of like take my staff and I'm gonna go ahead and try to just sweep you. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
I'm stepping aside. You're moving forward. I'm gonna just try to sweep you. And I think that is going to be a sleight of hand check.
Oh, I was thinking acrobatics. Either way, they're both
Uh,
decks.
yeah, they're both decks, but I'm let me think. No, because I'm trying to be subtle. I'm trying to do just a slight little hand motion,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And for me, that feels like a sleight of hand check, even though my acrobatics check is way better.
Is it?
But I feel like
All right. Yeah.
all right, so I'm gonna do it. But I because of your forward momentum, I want to give myself advantage on that.
Mm,
Because you've missed and you have forward motion, and I'm stepping aside and sweeping.
okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's see what that
Okay.
looks like.
Yeah. And it looks like we're just sort of now like we're dancing
We're dancing.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sort of I move back and I try to like get your legs tangled up in my staff, and mostly I just draw a circle around you
Yeah.
basically in the dirt. I say, oh, I think we're becoming friends. It's your turn. Or is it this third party's turn?
I think we should. Yeah, I think they should get a
I-
turn.
Okay, they get a turn. Okay. So I don't know who that is. It's probably just, who is it?
It's the
The
drummer.
harpist.
Oh,
And
there you go. Yeah.
okay, all right. And he comes out and sees that there's a rumble, and you introduced him. I guess you should play him.
Oh no, I was okay. Yeah, sure. Uh,
No, I should play him because he's on my team, right?
well, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I think, just do a funny voice. That's all.
Oh, all right. You do a funny
All
one.
right. I've been feeling this German voice lately, so I'm gonna do. Und
Do a
Davo,
German
what's
voice.
what's happening here? Is you all right?
I say, yeah, we're just having some fun here. Do you want to join us?
Naturally. Uh, and I try to would they try to do that? I try to bear hug Glint from behind. Um, and
Okay, I don't
and
think you're behind him though,
uh,
because he tried to
yeah,
lunge.
that's true. He tried to lunge forward.
Like, you sort of have to,
I
so
mean,
you can come in a forward bear.
yeah. Well, you know what? I think. I mean, having to always make a creative attack is actually like not easy because like you would just punch somebody in the nose, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I punch Glint in the nose.
Okay. So I guess that's just like an athletics check.
Yeah, and this cat we don't have a character sheet for this character either.
No, so just roll a d20 plus, 2 or something, or
There we
plus
go.
1.
All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he definitely punches him
Yeah.
in the nose.
So the harpist punches Glint in the nose, and it
And
stings.
that's a d4 plus 2, I guess.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a lot of damage for level 1.
Isn't if he's got a plus 2 for
Yeah. So Glint is reeling after that.
yeah, yeah, he just got walloped
And
and now it's Glenn's turn.
yeah, the fight's going out of him, but he
Yeah.
is super stubborn. Um,
Okay.
and
That's
so
not
like
fine.
as he holds his like broken nose
Yeah.
and looks at the 2-on-1 in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
um, he pulls out his great axe
Uh-oh.
and holds it up, and you can see this thing it's big and it's mean and it's seen a lot of action, and
Uh-huh.
and he points at the harpist and he says,
Oh.
"One at a time. You first." And I think that's another intimidation
Okay.
check. Um,
Yeah, that's an intimidation check. See if he
potentially
was intimidating.
potentially deception, since he's kind of on his last legs. He's trying to
Oh, interesting.
trick them into thinking he's still got some fight in him.
Okay, okay. Well, why don't you make it a deception check?
I will. And oh, damn it! All
Oh, wait,
right.
is
It's a
that it? No, it's
19.
not. Oh, okay. So he definitely hits the harpist,
Yeah.
and then roll
With
the damage for
psychic damage.
it. Yes.
Oh, now it wants to roll. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 11 damage to the harpist.
Oh my god. Yeah. So he knocks out the harpist,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. With just
And
with
and so
well, but not knock out. So like because this is like a verbal attack. So the harpist I think is now too scared to continue the fight.
wait, but he didn't hit him with the great axe.
But I see this is the problem with this system is because I described a move that was an intimidation or deception move.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't an actual attack.
Oh, interesting. I see what you're saying. I mean, I think that when I think about this, the assumption here is that it is the attack. Like, it's a description of how you're attacking. So you're saying one at a time, and you hold up your axe and point it at him, and then you slash down basically
Mm-hmm.
on a successful deception roll, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Okay, well, okay, yeah. Let's keep going.
Okay. And And so you just knocked out my harpist with a great axe. And I look at you and I say, what is wrong with you? This is supposed to be a friendly fight, dude. You come to this town and you're going to try to be a tough guy, and then you can't take a punch, and next thing you know, you're trying to like cut people down. You're a problem here, and you're gonna need to get the hell out of my city. So I think so. So what kind of role do you think that is? Is it an intimidation role?
I think
Is it
it's more intimidation
a
than persuasion, but it could be persuasion.
it could be a persuasion role, right?
It could be.
But I think I'm trying to like stare him down with this.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to yeah. All right, intimidation roll. Ah, fuck.
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
stands to reason.
I-
Glint is not. Glint says, I mean, he's a man of few words, a dwarf of few words. But he says,
Yeah.
you know, you approached me, your friend came out. I didn't want any of this, but I told you, if you start this, you will not have a good time.
Okay.
And then as he says that, he he tries to recall the history of this town, and
Okay. Yeah.
and he's like, and he searches his memory banks for like who this person could be, and has he heard about musicians in this town, and does he know like that they have a family, and so he says see, I feel like I need to make the check first so I can know if what I'm going to say makes sense.
Okay, all right, yeah, make the check first.
So I make a history check, and that's
yeah, which I can't.
it's an 11. It's an 11 with no
okay,
bonus.
that does not.
So he
Doesn't
says something like, I know your parents live here. You wouldn't want anything bad to happen to them.
Oh.
You better back up.
Oh yeah, so he blows it. I take a look at him and I say, you don't know what you're getting yourself into here. You know, I take a look at you. I see your armor. I see what type of, bearing you have. And you try to be some sort of religious type. I take a look at you and I know exactly who your, what is it, patron? What do they call it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, warlocks have patrons.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's just your
I
god,
know
right?
exactly. Yeah, I know who your god is, and your god doesn't like whatever nonsense you're up to. And I think that you're a fraud, and that your faith is a load of horse manure. And so I'm making a religion check here. If that wasn't obvious.
No, I like it. At first, I was thinking it was Arcana. Ooh, okay, yeah. So I say you don't.
Man, you're way too high.
Maybe, yeah. Well, you may not. I may
could have
not.
tried to stack it too.
To what?
Yeah. I should have tried to stack it. I should have tried to like throw something else in there too, and in addition to the religion sort of approach. Anyway.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if you use. I'm just taking a quick note. Okay. I look around this small town in the woods, medium sized.
Well, no, it's it's a multicultural town, so that means it has to be of a certain size to attract a bunch of different types of people.
There could be one family of each culture.
Yes, but this is a place that attracts people.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm okay. So I can't use. I mean, I want to use something that I'm not good at here.
Okay.
this is kind of okay. Let's see. I go look over there.
Okay.
All right. I just like I make her.
All right.
I react strongly to something behind Undavo.
Okay. All right. Good. What was that?
That's
Deception?
that's
Is that what we're going?
yeah. It's a deception. I was thinking stealth, but it's not really stealth.
Okay.
Let's do deception. So deception, a 7.
Okay. All
Terrible.
right. And I just stare at you. I stare daggers at you.
Yeah.
I stare daggers at you, and I say, "You don't belong here. You're ugly." And I'm going to mount your armor on the tavern wall before I'm through with you. And I'm actually very attracted to you, so I'm going to make a deception check.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man. Yeah. You really feel like I think you're ugly.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and I slam you right under the chin
Yeah. So
with the butt of my
Glint goes down,
Yeah.
and
Okay, I win.
and yeah, he's unconscious. Wakes up in the
Cool.
infirmary, maybe,
Nope.
or in the jail,
Wakes up in a horse trough.
in the river.
Okay. All right. So, and scene.
Yes.
Did we have a spam viewer, by the way? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I banned them.
Oh, okay. What was it? What did they say?
Oh, I don't know. Something about you want to be famous or something like.
Oh man, Emilio.
I should have clicked on it.
I wanted to be famous. That was the. Isn't that why we're doing this?
No. We're doing
Oh,
this
right.
because we don't know what else to do with ourselves.
Because role-playing games is the thing that runs our lives now.
It is.
Although, to be fair, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to have a period of running my life for a couple of weeks or so.
You know,
Maybe a month.
you can actually do a decent bit of role playing in Red Dead.
Yeah, I always play a white hat. You know, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard for me to want to be the bad guy in these
Yeah,
things.
I usually do too.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So, all right. So let's debrief here.
Yeah, that was awkward.
I think so.
Yeah.
I thought it was totally like compelling.
Oh man, really? It was just like well, okay. I think the circumstance of the fight first was like a little too friendly and not deadly, and so it felt like the moves were like because we're talking all this trash basically because of that. But if you were in like I don't know, like a fight with an ogre and you couldn't really talk to them, like I feel like it would have a very different tenor, and like a lot of the sort of more goofy stuff that we were doing wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right about that. I think that's an interesting point. If you are fighting something that doesn't speak the same language as you or something like that, how do you convey these elements? How do you convey these abilities?
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting and creative, a generative question, basically. Interesting. So okay, so you found, okay, so you found it awkward. Tell me more about that.
Well, so trying to like think of a different move every time is pretty taxing. And if you think about like I don't know, a fight, right? Like if you got a good move that you can do, or you're good with a certain kind of weapon or something, like you kind of just do that. That's your move. And so trying to, so then I would be like, so you know, I try to be thinking of, oh, well, I already used the intimidation move, so let me try something else. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine doing that in like this sort of danger room, you know, simulation. But
Is that an X-Men reference?
you know it. But I don't know. It just seems like that wouldn't make sense. That you'd always have to be thinking of different moves.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the things that could be interesting if you're creating a system like this is that you have multiple sort of abilities that could, or skills that could, that you could touch on or something like that. Um, hmm, I'm
Yeah. What do you?
thinking out loud.
Yeah. Say more about that.
Yeah, I'm thinking out loud. So basically, like, what if the combat system wasn't say it's not even this, say it's only partially this,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
also you have um, other physical ability roles or skill roles that you could have, like boy, what would be examples of this? I mean, I don't want to go so I don't want to be like, oh, headbutt and left arm, right arm, or something like that. But like,
Yeah.
um, geez, what would be some examples of this? Like a finesse roll. And if you don't want to use the finesse roll, then you have a different roll, which is sort of like a brute force roll, or I don't know. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if there are ways of um, having different physical elements that would make it so that you vary what you're doing, or I don't know. I'm hearing you though on sort of like, if you just want to punch somebody, you're just going to punch somebody, right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't need a whole preamble. But I guess my thought is that, yeah, you could have that, but perhaps the bonus to that skill is low enough that you would still want to combine it or stack it with one of the other
Yeah.
skills
Yeah.
as well. I mean, but it's
Which sort of takes you back to like the advantage disadvantage system, I think.
yeah,
Um,
ten. Well, not necessarily though, because if you're stacking, then you're just you're bringing multiple layers of sort of like creativity to the action itself. Um, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I want to put out there is that I found that to be like fun,
tell me
basically.
what you liked about it.
Yeah, what I liked about it is that it felt like our fight was a conversation. And um, like I especially like when in the back and forth, it was like you tried to, shoulder me, and then my immediate next roll was a sort of movement back, and then an attempt to sweep and that kind of thing. And it just felt like it was a nice back and forth there.
Yeah.
Um, and again, you can have that in the sort of standard way that you do this in 5e already, but um, I don't know. This just felt like I felt like I could be more fluid with this type of fighting,
Yeah.
uh, and I liked trying to come up with like if I want to try to use intimidation, I liked having to come up with a way to try to be intimidating. Um,
Yeah. I like that too. That part was fun.
yeah. Okay. I mean,
Um,
I feel like this is just working a different muscle in one's mind in how to approach this problem.
hmm.
And maybe people, want to just have this be simple or something like that. Um, but I think I don't know. I just found I found it interesting. I found it refreshing. That's what I felt about it. I found it refreshing.
I think that if you, I think that what I like about, or what I Hmm. When I'm doing combat, uh,
Mm.
I'm often trying to think of a way to not have to actually use my weapon, and so that would be like trying to talk somebody out of a fight, trying to intimidate them, pay them off, whatever it is. Um,
Mm.
and
Mm.
so for
Mm.
me, then the idea of using those skills to actually hit somebody is counter to the idea that I often go for, which is to avoid a fight through other means. And it doesn't mean you couldn't still do that.
Mm.
Um, but like when I was,
Mm.
and yeah, maybe
Oh, I
it's
just had an idea.
okay. Yeah, do you want to go?
I just had an idea. Yeah, let me just give this idea. Okay, so what if there is a hit point meter and then some other type of meter that is a non-violent meter? And so the way that you win a fight is either you get the hit points to 0 or below, or you get this other meter to 0 or below. And
Mm,
the other meter could be like resolve or something like that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so the way that you bring that to 0 or below is through, like, so with that one intimidation check you had, or was it a deception check?
Maybe, yeah.
Where you were like, yeah, but I wasn't like thinking about hitting him with the axe, right?
Right.
You were like, oh, it's 11 psychic damage, right?
Right.
So what instead, like that is attacking this other meter, and you have two avenues for defeating an enemy. One is a physical avenue, and one is, a mental or resolve avenue for defeating somebody.
Yeah. So in I want to say second edition,
Okay.
there were morale checks in combat. Um,
Ooh.
and so I don't remember how that worked exactly, but I think it was based on your. It wasn't. I think in second edition it was willpower, not wisdom. Um,
Okay.
and they changed it to wisdom at some point. But so your willpower, you'd roll with your willpower, and that would determine if you wanted to stay in the fight or not. Um,
Mm,
and then the
mm,
modifiers to
mm.
that would sort of be based on the scenario. I don't think there was a
Would that be
hard.
like would that be like every turn in a fight
What
or
the
in a battle, or is it digital type thing?
the way I saw it used, and I don't know second edition very well
Okay.
at all. The way I saw it used was typically if a fight was starting to get one-sided, or if someone had just taken
Yeah.
like a large amount of damage, and they're like, oh, they just
Uh-huh.
got dropped down to 3 hit points. Like, do they still want to keep going? Let's roll a
Yeah.
morale check. See if they're still in the fight or not. And I've done that in 5e.
Yeah.
It's not in the book, I don't think, but
Huh.
um,
So
so
okay, so
but so I
it
think I
sounds
think
like
that I think that like the idea of a
a
second meter and the idea of being this descriptive has another challenge, which is that the one of the things that worked well about this is that there were two people going back and forth, right? But if you're a DM
Mhm,
running a fight between like 12 monsters and 4 PCs, and you're trying to think of a
mhm,
creative attack for each monster and track 2 meters, it just seems like a
mhm.
lot of stuff to have to handle.
Well, but, but what I sort of okay, so think about it this way. So I could imagine that the one pathway of sort of going for the hit points. Uh-oh, you got somebody there.
No, no, we're fine. I was just noticing the time.
Okay. Oh, okay. The one pathway of going for the hit points is a much more sort of direct kind of attack. Is a much more direct sort of way of having a battle.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be that you're the DM and you're juggling all these monsters, and you know what, your set their morale or resolve sort of points
Mm-hmm.
there are really high, right? And it may be that it's clear in some way that they're not going to be worn down by trying to diminish their
Mm.
RP. Uh, I don't know. I basically I think you're bringing up a good point. And I think that um, this is, to me, it's an interesting idea of sort of like, are there other ways in a battle to take somebody out besides beating the crap out of them or shooting you know
Yeah.
magic at them or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always
um
like the like sort of Zorro, Jackie Chan, like use the environment, right? Like, you know,
yeah.
knock down a bookshelf so they can't get to you, and don't then you don't have to fight, right? Like anything to stop, not have to use my sword, is kind of what I'm going for.
Well, what I was thinking was Monkey Island.
Uh huh. This is
You remember that
of
Monkey Island?
yeah, insult fighting, which is what we started doing.
Which is what we started doing,
Yeah, yeah.
which
But that is really hard to sustain, man. That is so hard to keep up. Like even in Monkey Island, it was hard to like kind of come up with a.
well, so yes, and I think that's because we're more familiar with the current way of doing fighting, which is not just in TTRPG land. It's also in video game land. It's also in all these sorts of sort of things. Um, but I think if you're so this is the thing. It's like, what are you incentivizing in a combat encounter? And I think that like if you incentivize other ways of doing it, people will get good and comfortable with doing it those ways. Um, so that's the thought. And I think we sometimes have a different philosophy around this when we're thinking about sort of game mechanics, where I am trying to make the player do a certain thing,
Right,
and you're like less inclined to do that.
right.
Like I have an agenda,
Yep.
basically.
I
Yeah.
I was told
And
by my last boss that I don't know how to have an agenda, and that's why I wasn't good at my job.
oh no, really? You didn't tell me that.
Which I think is actually fair. I think it was a fair observation. She's like, Amelia,
Meanwhile,
you don't know how to like get people to do what you want.
oh, this is so funny. I was just giving an appraisal to one of my staff, and I was telling her, she's also the lead for sort of like a sub program of our program,
Yeah,
and she has sort of various sort of things that she needs to do for this program to be successful, like for instance get buy-in and get more staff to be a part of this program and this sort of thing. And so another supervisor was speaking to her and said, "Oh, should we make it so that like staff have to be a part of your sub program?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't know, like I just want to be agreeable, that sort of thing." And it was like, and then I was talking to her, I'm like, "No." I'm like, "What you want is to make people do this thing so that you have them." And it's like you have to like assert that. And that's how I am. I'm like, I want people to do this thing, so I'm going to make it so that they're more likely to do that thing.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
There
it's
is
funny how
definitely a
I guess
difference in our personalities.
yes. And the long story short, there is like, yeah, I have an agenda.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Um,
no, and I don't think it's I don't. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Even if like I accept the agenda, right? I don't know if this is the carrot that gets people to be better role players, or not. Like I don't know. This feels a little bit forced. Um, I wonder
I mean,
if
it
like
is. It is.
yeah, and I just don't know if that leads to people like being better at it or just kind of being tired of it and like it becomes like a drag.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's like that is, as we say in psychology, that's an empirical question,
Yeah.
which is to say, like it can be tested.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Um,
it would be, so what I actually think we may have just come up with the perfect like PvP system or like dueling system, right? If you had used this type of combat, and you sort of did in Raucous
mhm.
when Turpin fought the guy who had usurped his throne, that one on
The
one,
Hillsteika.
the Hillsteika, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that was like the perfect duel. right? Like they're just like going at it one on one, and
that would have been pretty cool.
yeah. Um,
Well, I think yeah.
I think there's a lot more
Anyway,
challenges with like a doing it with like a bigger group with different kinds of characters, but um, that's not to say we shouldn't try it.
yeah, I think it's just sort of like it's different, which in and of itself to me is of interest. And again, like there's still for me the identified problem of, you know, people just being rote with how they approach combat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then or like, you know, I mean, like most of the time, like for me, the combat can be the more boring sort of part of role playing.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because it's sort of like, okay, so we're setting up this whole world, we're putting all this time and energy into it, and emotional sort of energy as well, and then there's this part of it that we're just like, oh, I just wish we didn't have to do that. Like we like we're creating a game. It's not like, I mean, there is a rule book, right? But like, you know, who cares? We're creating a game in a world, and in the thing that we create, we have something that's boring and is like, oh boy, I wish this were done more quickly. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you have the same feeling when you're a player?
So, sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't not have that feeling, right? Which is, I think, the point. And maybe, I mean, of course, I think there's always going to be stuff that's not as fun when you're role playing. Um, but like to have something that's not that fun kind of built in, I don't know. Do you feel like there? I guess, I see what your question. I see what you're getting at with your question, though. I think it is more boring if you're the DM
Yes.
to be running combat. That's true.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but also, I just think it's kind of boring.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, I don't mind this stuff because for me, you know, I never play paper and pencil, so
yeah.
like the like keeping track of stuff is like I don't really care because
Not that big.
it's like
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if you had to do a counter move for like every zombie. That was what I loved about our fight was that it was move counter move move counter move. It wasn't just abstract move abstract move. Um,
right.
but that is the kind of thing that really works best in like a one-on-one, one-on-two, two-on-two. It's hard to have that when you're in like a big brawl. And maybe that's fine that like the mechanics of a
Yeah.
brawl maybe the mechanics of a brawl should be different than the mechanics of a one-on-one fight, right? Like it could be a different
I mean,
system.
a brawl is just it's just a series of one-on-one fights.
I don't think it is. I,
In
I think it's just like a mash.
yeah, huh? Interesting. There could be different mechanics. That could be a little tricky. I mean, if we're already adding mechanics and then we have a separate mechanic,
I
I
know,
don't know.
I
But
know, I know.
I mean, but when we're actually playing though D&D, for instance, like it is a series of one-on-one things, basically.
I mean, if you're outnumbered though, it's sort of like an enemy
Mm.
might get 3 or 4 attacks before you do anything, and so which
Yeah,
which attack do you counter, right? Like,
that,
and which of your moves do the enemies choose to counter or react to?
though I still think, but you know what? I think that can be worked out in a flow. Like I think, like so, say the first one misses, and so how does that first one miss? Okay, the first one misses by me doing a backflip or something like that. Okay, and then the second one comes at you. They've caught you on the other side of the backflip, and they're attempting to give you a purple nurple with a medicine check.
Medicine check.
and and so then and so they grab you while you're flipping in the air. They reach up and grab your nipple and twist.
How do I
I
how
don't
do
know.
I clip something? Oh, here we go. Clipping this.
Oh, the purple by nurple. Me doing a backflip or
Yeah.
something
Oh,
like
it
that.
worked.
Okay, and then the second
Nice,
one
well
comes at
done.
you. They've caught you
Anyway,
on the other
I
side of
think,
the backflip, and they're I think it's an interesting thought. Me doing a backflip or something. I want to explore this more. Is basically all
I'm
I'm
with you.
saying
I'm with you
about
on
it.
exploring it. I feel like I'm being a real drag, and I'm sorry about that.
No. I don't think you're being a drag. I think that you're just like posing ideas or feedback I mean I don't know.
I think there are. I see challenges with this, and I think I want to. Yeah, I think exploring it more is a great thing to do. Um, so I'm
And
mindful of time right now.
let's talk about your game last night.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And actually, this might be a good segue here because uh,
Oh, okay.
so last night I played
Yeah.
about half of a Monster of the Week one shot. So Monster of the Week is a game that's built on the Apocalypse World system. I've never run an Apocalypse World game or powered by the Apocalypse game, um, so I really don't know a ton about the mechanics. But uh, what what they give you basically, what we did last night is we got this 2-page thing, this like 2-page reference sheet, and it
Mm,
has like 6 basic moves that you can do. And those, I'll just read them out. So it's kick some ass, act under pressure, help out, investigate a mystery, manipulate someone, protect someone, read a bad
mm,
situation, and use magic. And there's a couple different kind of use magic things. Um,
mm.
and then depending on who character you are, so my character is the talent of a uh, burgeoning YouTube show that's about investigating paranormal creatures.
And I'm suddenly like, oh, low fantasy. Okay, keep going.
Yep. Not even fantasy. uh,
Oh, what? What?
I mean, this is
What?
this is this is more in the realm of like thriller. You know,
There are monsters, right?
I don't know. We haven't met them yet. Um,
Oh man. Okay. All right, anyway, I didn't mean. Please
no,
continue.
you're fine. So so my character, the talent, has another short list of moves, and I get to pick like 3 of those moves to do that are specific to my character, and
Okay.
that provide something, right? Um, and so what our dungeon master Dave said is, don't look at the list of moves, don't worry about that. Just tell me what you want your character to do, whether it's a fight thing, whether it's helping someone, and I will help you choose the appropriate move. And this is because we were all playing this for the first time. Um, but he didn't want us to like be like, oh, I want to do a help out move. He's like, no, I want to like, my friend fell down. I'm going to go pick her up. Um, okay, that's a help out. Roll, and we'll see what you get or whatever, right?
Okay.
So that was, you know, that's sort of the combat and the moves and all that stuff. Uh, and so the mechanic of Apocalypse World and Monster of the Week is just 2d6. Everything is just you roll 2d6,
Okay.
and then depending on your character and depending on the kind of move you do. I'll just give an example, right? So basic move, kick some ass. You roll 2d6 plus your tough rating, which is there are 5 core abilities: tough, weird, smart, something like that, right? Um, you roll to fight. You roll 2d6 plus your tough and then on a 7 plus it does one thing. On a 10 plus it does another thing, and on a 12 plus it does another thing.
Okay.
Those are just all spelled out in this 2-page thing, and it's the same for every move. It's just like roll 2d6, add your modifier, and then there are like 3 or 4 options depending on how well you roll.
Okay.
Um, so it's super simplified, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think it just makes like, unfortunately, we had a lot of technical difficulties. We didn't really get into much of the actual story or the combat. It was almost like a prelude or like a what's the like a pilot? I don't Not a pilot, but like it's like the before the movie actually starts kind of thing. Um,
Pro
what?
prologue.
Yeah, like a prologue. Thank you. Um, so we didn't really get to try a lot of this stuff, but it seems like it'll be a very different way to think about combat, but also like just a different mechanic, which is kind of cool. Um,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
yeah. So anyway, oh, and then sort of just like separately from that, I think it's a fun concept, and it encourages a lot of role playing. That,
Mm.
or maybe that's just the way we were playing it, but like because there aren't, it felt like because there aren't so many rules, so many mechanics, so many numbers, that it's just like okay, you're just playing this character, and then whenever you sort of make an action, like okay, then we'll figure out what the move is. Um, so
Mm.
you're spending more time thinking
Mm.
about like what is my character doing, and you're not kind of worried about like okay, do I need to roll this deception check or whatever. Like
It sounds like a low crunch system, basically.
yeah, definitely low
Yeah.
crunch. Um,
What do you so yeah, what do you think about that? Like, so we primarily play 5e, which is certainly a crunchy system.
yeah.
Like, what do you think about doing playing a game in a less crunchy system? Does it feel liberating? Does it feel a little sort of like it doesn't have enough to it? Like, or have you not played enough to really sort of have a sense of those things?
Yeah, I think it's more the third that I don't really know yet.
Okay.
I mean, I think I rolled twice in 2 hours last night
Mm,
because we were spending most of our time sort of introducing the characters, kind of getting to the hook, which there was a house that had just been bought by a couple, and the couple had been scared out of the house by these crazy supernatural things, sort of typical haunted
mm,
house, poltergeisty kind of
mhm,
stuff, right? So we were sort of investigating.
mhm,
We did a little interview with the couple. We talked with the guy who owns the motel in town, and my character had like
mhm.
a creepy half second vision, and that was like mostly what happened. So there wasn't a ton of rolling, and I really did like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was a lot of fun, and just role playing.
Okay.
Um, and then at one point I was like, hey, I should probably like do a move, right? Like try to actually like do roll a die. And so I think I picked a move
Uh-huh.
from my list, which was like it was like uncover clues or something. Oh, what was it? I have it here. It was oops. If you want to stumble across something important, um, you you find something and you just like roll and see. Yeah, all right. I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place trying to describe this, but
Well,
overall, it was a fun start, and I think I need more time to see if it's if it's enough.
yeah, what I'm curious about, because the only game I've ever played is 5e. And what I'm curious about is if it's a similar thing to Quest. Do you remember Quest, which recently came out, and like it just seems beautiful and like a nice ah I don't know. Do you remember Quest? Do you remember what that one is? I think it was kickstarted a little while ago
I
and
remember seeing it,
recently
but
dropped.
yeah, I don't really know anything about it.
The thing that it reminds me of it, so it's a less crunchy system, and I remember sort of seeing a review of it on YouTube and how it's a really great system, especially like maybe it's like the best first time TTRPG player game, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And like you could play it for a good while and really have a lot of fun with it. And then what the reviewer sort of ultimately concluded is then eventually you'll want to get into a more crunchy system because of sort of like
Mm.
just like there is something satisfying about having a bunch of moving parts sort of working in concert, I think.
Hmm.
Um, but so I wonder if like is that like a PBTA thing where they're really good because you can get into them easily, and then but if you really want to like have nitty like get into the nitty gritty of things,
Yeah.
it doesn't provide that for you. You could create it right within the context of it, but it doesn't necessarily provide it for you. And is that going to be satisfying, or is that going to eventually be sort of like whatever?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question. Um, I think it's hard to know.
Not that it's necessarily even applicable to you're playing it, but just thinking about that system, I wonder about that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder too. I mean, I know that like the role playing piece is always the stuff that I like the most, and so prioritizing that is fun. But I always like rolling dice too. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's sort of interesting thinking like, so if you don't have a whole bunch of crunchy ass spells like laid out for you, then how like are the spells that you're casting that you come up with on your own going to be sort of like boring eventually or that kind of thing? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you, do you,
but it's kind of like fun. I mean, it sounds like to me it sounds sort of liberating.
yeah, I think you would actually really like it. I mean, and I think like Dave is just really good at DMing, and he's so he kind of brought us in really well, and yeah, I don't know, it felt very smooth and effortless.
Cool.
Well, let me
I think we should wrap it up.
yeah, maybe
Right?
we'll do this another time. I was gonna ask you to actually roll 2d6 and do a magic spell, as I don't know how this looks like, what this looks like either. But
Just don't have. I don't know where the hell my
yeah,
dice
your
are.
dice
I
are gone.
wonder. Oh, I know where they are. Oh, I know where they are. I packed them up when I visited my sister a couple weeks ago, and they are still in that bag. Even though I returned like 2 weeks ago, I still haven't unpacked all the games that I had put in there. So uh, let's do it next
We can
time,
do it another time. Yeah.
or whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. When's the next time you're playing that game?
I don't know. We originally were saying like 2 or 3 weeks out, but I'm actually trying to see if we can get it sooner. But there's a
Okay.
lot of role
All right.
playing
Well,
games right now.
yeah. Don't forget, you got to come up with a one shot, buddy.
I'm working on it.
Are you?
I have some ideas. I don't love anything
Okay.
yet. I don't love
Okay.
anything yet.
All right. I'm excited. I'm excited for whatever you come up with.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, come on. Okay. Well, da, da,
Da,
da,
da,
da,
da. We did the show,
so,
talking about characters and getting to know all of you in our audience who are so true to us. Thanks for watching, Brad.
is that who's watching right
I
now?
think so. Yeah.
Hi, Brad.
He just sent me
Uh,
a picture of him eating and with us on in the background.
oh, that's very sweet.
That's so cool.
Um, cool. All right. Well, hey, tune in next week for the pre-election show.
Oh
Vote
gosh.
Biden.
Oh gosh.
Vote Biden. Vote
Yeah.
the aviators. Vote the aviators.
Listen, Jack. If you don't vote for Cool Man Biden, you're just a
Hey, Jack. Don't be a malarkey troll.
don't
It's
be a
time to get on the train. Amtrak, Delaware to DC. That's where we're going. I'm gonna see you there in a week and a half, Jack.
Jack.
And that's the story.
I like it.
Hey, man,
The fact of the matter is,
we're gonna work on our Biden impression.
well, even the comedians are like, I can't do a Biden because he doesn't really do anything exciting. Like Stephen Colbert was like, I just put on these aviators, and that's how I do it. Like that's the Biden impression. I just put on.
Great. But he puts on the aviators, then he does a crooked smile, and then he says, "Hey, Jack," a lot, and
Yeah.
it's perfect.
He
It's
asked.
perfection.
Did you see when he asked Sudeikis how to do a good Biden? Like,
That was a little while back, right?
yeah, maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah, I saw that episode, but I really remember.
Sudeikis was like, "You just have to get fake teeth." Just
Like Jim Carrey does very good with the voice, but it's just so hard. You're still just looking at
I
Jim
mean,
Carrey. Like,
how could he ever?
if you close your eyes and listen to him, you're like, "Oh my God, that's a perfect Joe Biden."
Yeah.
But then you look at him, you're like, "Oh no, it's Fire Marshal Bill."
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Poor Jim Carrey.
It's still
His face is. He'll never be a
Yeah,
character
it's-
actor.
no. Anyway, hey,
Hey.
that was fun, Emilio.
Thanks everybody. Thanks Christian. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.